The borders of Turkey, Iraq, Iran and Syria have been in the news for years. But how many of you actually know anything about that area? So why don't you join us on our tour of southeast Turkey? Welcome to the busy and very lovely old town of Mardin. So the lovely old town of Mardin is really one long street, and it's on the top of a hill overshadowed by a huge castle which incidentally you can't visit because it's military controlled. In the street you'll find shops, locantas, churches, mosques, museums, banks and hotels. It has a great minibus service and gets very busy from about 11 in the morning till about 11 at night, especially at weekends. There are so many Turkish tourists here in Mardin that you really need to book your hotel well in advance. We really struggled to get a room. In fact, we hardly saw any foreigners on our whole trip. As we found out, parking is a nightmare and you really don't need a car. I must admit the local characters made shopping an absolute treat, and the shops are full of specialities of the area, which of course includes soaps, coffee, wine and the biggest selection of dried nuts and sugared nuts that I've ever seen. So the first stop was the dried sugared nut and chocolate shop. Of course, this was Trudie's idea.
Bu ayva. Bu da şeftali. Şeftali.
Bir dakika bunu bitmedi. Bunu Allah yiyorum onu ya.
Bu fındıklı tiramisu, fındık.
Fındık?
Kakao. Kakao.
Fındık and cocoa.
Can you save me one?
Meyve.
You do realise we're going to have to buy a load of these now, don't you?
Bu da fındık.
Benim en sevdiğim bu.
Bu.
Bu da güzel. O ne?
Walnut. Ceviz?
Cevizli sucuk.
Control on the mouth.
Ceviz, walnut. Bu akşam hepsini yiyecek.
Hepsini yok. Hepsini
Yok
yemem.
olmaz değil mi?
Yatamazsın sonra. Karnın şişer.
Do you know that's all that whole bag? That's
Yok.
nearly half a kilo. It's only cost us 3
Yok
quid.
fazladır o. Çok yemesin. Çikolata ağırdır.
Ağır değil mi?
Çikolata, badem, hepsi ağır. Sonra yatamaz.
Ah, you won't sleep, he says.
That was my idea of chocolate shopping. To be fed chocolate while choosing and deciding, and then a huge bag, half a kilogram, what, about £3?
3 quid, yeah.
So the next morning I actually found a guy called Abdullah who was making his own sugared nuts.
Badem şekeri is what he was making, which is actually like sugared almonds. That's amazing. They're still hot. Wow. I'll have to go and buy a bag off him now.
There's such a lovely atmosphere in the evenings. There's lots of lovely rooftop locantas and restaurants, but none of them seem to serve any alcohol. You can find beer in some of the local tobacconists, but we didn't find anywhere serving beer in the locantas or the hotels. And of course it's very busy at the weekends.
Apart from the wine shops, everyone here drinks tea and coffee. And we actually met more people drinking tea and coffee outside shops than we would have done in a pub in England. There are some really interesting things going on in the street and some interesting shops too. And Trudie's favourite was the soap shop. I've never seen so many soap shops and so many unusual types of soap. Snail soap? Which part of the snail do they use, I wonder?
Wash my hair.
Good luck with that then.
And you are.
Soap it goes, doesn't go a different colour.
It's good for weight,
For weight loss. Oh, that would be good, wouldn't it?
Hair loss. Hair loss.
Oh, hair loss, alright. Sen çok kullanıyorsun zaten değil mi?
Ben kullanıyorum. Bir tek bunu kullanıyorum saç için. Saçıma bayağı iyi.
Öyle mi? İyi.
Okay, I've bought my donkey milk. It's going to make me very youthful and beautiful. Isn't that right? Yes.
She stay always young.
Yeah, she is young anyway, she is.
Always young.
Tamam.
Donkey milk.
Evet, yeah. There's a lot of streets that go off from this main street, so the next morning I thought I'd better go and investigate. There were little old streets and houses everywhere, and you go past some of the doors and you don't know if it's a house or a storage unit. Walking around the back streets, you realise that some of the beautiful architecture is from a very long time ago. I come across old churches, mosques, a hammam, and even madrasa, that's old religious schools. The dustbin mule has to be one of my favourites. And some of the old ways still survive here. Later in the day we found this very interesting coffee man. This guy, he calls himself Muracı, which is somebody who deals with this sort of coffee. Ah, gerçek espresso.
Gerçek. Hanımefendi işimi sıvap anlıyor.
Tamam.
Soğutuyorsunuz.
Let it cool, he says.
Ha, şöyle bir anlatıyorum.
Is it in the wall? It's shot a shake. Well, that was a bit of an interlude, wasn't it?
Siz
Tamam.
memleket?
Tamam, İngiliz biz. İngiliz. Evet.
Hoş gelmişsiniz.
Hoş bulduk. Ne güzel bak. So you swirl it round till it cools down a bit. Actually, it's not bad. I was going to pull a face and go, but it's actually quite nice. Wow. Really? Yeah, lovely.
Nasıl buldunuz?
Çok güzel ya.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Yeah.
It's not bad, is it?
Very nice.
Nasıl? Devam et.
He's a bit of a tour guide, this guy, isn't he? Wow. He gave us more information than the internet or a tourist information centre, and we ended up talking to him for about half an hour. So if you get a chance to get in the back street and find Muracı, I'm sure you'll enjoy his company. On the way to Mardin Museum, we stumbled across this baker's that was making yufka ekmeği.
Amazing smell. I love his cushion.
Yufka bread is what we would probably call phyllo bread or unleavened bread. In some countries they call it lavash.
There's an absolutely amazing smell coming from this. Beautiful.
We were so mesmerised by this guy, Trudie decided she'd like to have a go.
They think you're funny. Come on, you gotta be faster than that. He does it in a few seconds. No, you'll never make a baker.
And this is without intuition.
Put it on, he says. Put it on. Nasıl? You didn't quite get that bit right, did you? You gotta be quick. Don't drop the gun. That's it, yeah. Fena değil, fena değil. Come on.
So this is Sabancı Museum in Mardin. And it's mostly an information museum. It's got lots of pictures and information on the walls. There's not that many artifacts. If you want to go and see some real historical artifacts, you must go to the Mardin Museum. This is one of the most important things in this museum. This is over 4,000 years old, and it's when they started doing little figurines of the houses that they live in.
This is a deed to an orchard. Really tiny writing.
The Turkish longbow has long time been regarded as the most powerful bow in the world. So one last drink in our little hotel in Mardin, and the next morning after breakfast we're off to Midyat and some interesting places on the way.
What's it called, this place?
I have no idea.
So if you want to see the next film in the series where we carry on along the borders of southeast Turkey, please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, or join us on Facebook at Mick Amca, and have a look in the description. There's lots of information and useful links for you to follow there as well. Thanks for watching.